trying to make a long video as a follow-up to the short video about things required to be an atheist. I'm going to have 5 points in this video about how you redefine atheism and why it's a group. That's what we're going to do because I've gotten so many crazy comments from that video. The main one being, of course, atheism's not a group, just one person's perspective. I don't know what that means. But I do want to get to that first, why it's a group, and then to the 5 things. But we're going to go over those 3 things from the short video really quick. 3 things required for you to now be in the atheist group. They are grudge against history, demand for empirical evidence, and the belief that science is a better alternative. So this has nothing to do with me saying if this is good or bad. I know you guys are hearing that, but I'm just telling you just objective requirements. These are things that if we can agree on there being a militant atheist group, a cabal is what I call it, that to get into that group, you're going to have to be aware of what religion's done in history and be kind of mad about it. You're going to have to demand empirical evidence, which is, aligning yourself with science, and the belief that science is a better alternative. I get that 2 and 3 are interrelated. I get it. One's more of a demand and one's more of an alternative. Remember when David Hume said there is no cause and effect? The alternative for why you have the sense of cause and effect is habituation. So providing those alternatives is always a great idea. I don't know why I brought up that Hume thing, but that was the short video. The long video is really more about these 5 things that redefine modern atheism. But the first thing I'm going to do is explain why it's a group. And I'm going to say this really quick, which I used to say to students, and that is that you can have a thing like fate that we all experience, and then you can have Catholicism. Now, I know people find this strange, what? But the beginning and the precursor to religion, especially organized religion, is fate. It is this feeling that things happen for a reason. So fate is related to Catholicism the same way skepticism is related to atheism, which means you can be skeptical, you can have skeptical views, it can be a growing thing in culture like it was 300 years ago with John Locke and David Hume. You can have that, and that can transition into groupthink. And that those groups can be good, they can be bad. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means they're a group, and then we can talk about them as a group, which is what we're doing now. And so following that logic, we're talking about the 5 signs of the new atheist cabals. And they have those membership requirements of 3 things in a short video, which I think are funny, but I do think they have some truth to them. So the first one is what I call explorative. And that is that atheists no longer want to explore because they don't understand philosophy. Instead of exploring the question, they function loosely within the scientific language game. And so this seems to be a not great thing that's happening. There's not really 2 ways to look at this one. But you do get in all these comments a really uniform misinterpretation of what philosophy is, or that usual I don't like philosophy thing that just misinterprets philosophy and doesn't understand. My original videos a year ago about hypercritical versus common sense. Total another video. Number 2 sign of modern atheism is that it's delineated into 2 types. It is what I call the evidence fetishists and the cultural atheist philosophers. So these aren't academic philosophers. These are people who are cultural thinkers and even people that sound like religious people that do have the skeptical side to them. So even someone like Richard Dawkins, who's a scientist, evolutionary biologist in this particular case, is kind of a cultural icon for atheist philosopher, not real philosopher. So that's one. The first one was evidence fetishist. Again, not that different, but an evidence fetishist cares about evidence more than he cares about what the evidence is. Sounds like a Randian point. But it is that you can just be so obsessed with evidence that you miss that there are good and bad evidence, that there are weak and strong evidence. All you care about is this really particular seeming, evidential technique that you get. So it's an evidence fetishist. It's delineated into those 2 types. Number 3 sign of modern atheism is what I call the end game. And that is this trend where people are doing things that don't seem to have an end game. They don't seem to understand what the goal would be for them to get online or to get on their platform, whatever it is, and spout whatever they're spouting, whether it's right or wrong. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? Half the world's religious. You've lost them completely. You don't care about what they believe. You don't care about the distinction between ones that are more or less critical. All you're doing is getting worked up, bro. That's it. What's your end game? Number 4 is the rise of these more professional, more articulate debates online. They're mostly online, a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of social media videos regarding fairly well-educated theists like Frank Turek, people that not only are well-educated but are really rhetorically savvy, oftentimes arguing with kids, which it just confuses the crap out of me, but I see why they do it. And again, that's rhetoric, bro, trying to win the argument without really having anything to win the argument with. Um, Kind of also called sophistry, probably, but I don't know what all these big words mean. But I will tell you there's a rise of this really paradigmatic debate where if the theist knows what he's doing, he creates a gap. He basically says, okay, then what is consciousness? And then the guy tries to say science, and he says, well, if it's just science, how can A, B, and C happen? How can you have this subjective experience? Where does it come from? What is innate knowledge? He can do all these things that philosophers have done in the past. And then the scientist, usually an academic scientist or an academic atheist at least, is very paradigmatically skeptical, but is a little bit lost in the debate because he's not taking the philosophy into account. The number 5 rising sign of the new atheist, and the way to figure this out is how attached they are to their identity. Again, this brings me back to this thing that I've said about there being a group, there being a cabal. And so a cabal can't exist without membership. And so you don't have those 3 things, you don't get in. But also it provides benefits. Freud used to talk about this in Civilization and Its Discontents, that to be in a civilization, a society with people, you have to pay a price. And so, but you get a reward. And so an atheist starts to build his identity within this atheist worldview the longer it goes on. Now you got to remember, atheism as this group that I'm talking about is very new. Skepticism's 300 years old in terms of formality, and then there were Greek skeptics. There was a whole philosophical school. So there has been skepticism. There has been the rise of modern skepticism in the 18th century. But today we have these specific groups which are very new. So it's going to take a while to build these identity rewards, whereas religion has had them for thousands of years, millions of years back when the dinosaurs had religion. And so this identity question for atheists today really is about how you value truth as it relates to how you see your identity within the system and how willing you are to challenge your own thinking at the risk of your identity construction within the atheist language name. So those are the 5 things. I call them explorative, 2 types, endgame, real world, and identity. And these transition from the small video, which was about the cover charge to get into the atheist cabal, which is you have to have a grudge against religious history, demand empirical evidence, and offer science as an alternative. So I hope you can see how I've constructed this. Don't try to guess what I believe. It's silly. Don't comment something nuts. It just doesn't make any sense. Try to pay attention to the video before you comment. Try to look at it from both sides. That's the point of my channel. If you're looking at it from your side and you're just mad at somebody, you give me some engagement. But again, this is the most important element of comments. I'm just going to end the video with this. And that is, it's not about me and it's not about you. I mean, the truth isn't, for sure. That's the whole point of the United States. But independent of that, with social media commentary, it really is about the people that are going to come later and read those comments. It really is about the people that are going to learn from those comments and in the interaction between. This is why I respond to almost all the comments until today. I can't do it anymore. But when I do respond, it's to show somebody a couple days from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, when I'm even more famous than I am now, and they're reading these comments. Do you like that? And they are learning something from the synergy between those comments. That's it. Go make a difference in your life. Go stop a war. Go do something good. Thanks for coming.